Appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Nation. My name is Law Nation. That's LAW Nation. We're going to talk a little bit about the Jason Witten, Randy Gregory, David Irving, the local news that happened throughout the day, and some. What's up, Nation? What's up, everybody, man? Appreciate you all, man. Let me see who the first person that's in the chat box, man. Shout out to who was this? Reynold, appreciate you, man. Thank you for tuning in. Who else we have here? Nate Brown, thank you. Ali, appreciate you for tuning in to the Nation. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to the thing. First, I want to get off would be the Jason Witten story. Jason Witten was talking to, I guess, the Ringer, and he was going over some details of how it felt being a broadcaster. Let's listen.
They're like, you got destroyed. You got crushed from fans in the Monday night booth. Did you know about it? How did you handle all the criticism?
Certainly, I took a beating. I'm aware of it, and to say like, "Hey, you didn't pay attention to it," bull. Everybody pays attention. Everybody's aware, and if you're not, you're lying to me. To say that you're just immune to it, or probably everybody outside of Bill Belichick and a handful of others. But I really always try to keep my head above the spectator line. And I tell you what, Ryan, the toughest part was you finish calling a game. I would check my text, and it was like they found out I was sick or something, or somebody died in my family. Hey, praying for you. Keep your head up. Don't worry about it. I'm like, my gosh, it wasn't that bad. I said, pull a rabbit out of his head instead of a rabbit out of his hat. I mean, you guys knew what I meant, right? And it was I screwed up, and but it wasn't the end of the world, in my opinion.
What a great clip.
Yep.
He would look down at his phone, and it was, hey, praying for you. Hey, keep your head up over calling a game.
Praying for you.
Oh, my gosh. So that was Witten. And Jesse Holly's always said this. If they tell you they don't hear it, not paying attention, they are lying. And to hear Jason Witten say that, it's true, except for probably a guy like Bill Belichick with InstaFace. How did Romo? We always said on this show, Romo screwed Witten over. Romo helped. He was basically the cause and the death, the birth and the death of Witten. Because without Romo, you don't have the guy that you try to base your hire off of.
Now, Romo was a beast and still is a beast at it, calling the games. And, of course, Jim Nantz is a dog out there, too. Those guys got great chemistry, man. Something about chemistry, man. When you build that chemistry the right way, you see it just being easy, and not everybody can do it, right? So by Jason Witten thinking that he was going to be able to go to ESPN and jump into that booth and just knock things out, nah, not happening, fam. So, hey, much love for him, So now he's back with the silver and blue back on. He cut off all his hair and stuff like that. So hopefully he can do some things the right way coming around the corner for this year. And we're looking for him to catch those short intermediate passes across the middle and to be that check down guy for Dak Prescott. Let's move a little bit further.
By the way.
Why?
Did you hear the beginning?
We were all new to Monday Night Football. Booger and Joe and I.
Who's Booger and Joe?
Witten and Boog and Test. And Test.
Them boys crazy. Let's move a little bit further, man. They was talking about basically the chemistry that Jim Nantz and Tony Romo got. My whole picture of this is that I think that Jason Witten will not try to do any of that broadcasting stuff. Never, ever again. Yes, indeed. So let's move on a little bit further on to the next topic.
Former Cowboy David Irving talked about his issues with Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett and I have never really got along. To be honest with you, not many people get along with this man.
Why not?
I wish I could put a finger on the man. I really do. I don't think it's just one reason. It's not just one person that doesn't get along with him. It's a lot of people. I feel like, if I could say anything, I feel like he needs to be more comfortable with people of color. To be honest with you, this is a league where there's a lot of people of color around, and you're going to have to deal with us. And if you don't know how to talk to us or relate to us, or I don't know. It's a tough position. But we just never got along, and he's the only person I haven't got along with in pretty much all my careers in football, him and Coach Rhodes.
David goes on to say, I want to be clear, I'm not saying Jason Garrett is racist, but he did say needs to be more comfortable with people of color, and I am not the only one that feels that way. Mike Fisher, good morning. Your reaction to David Irving.
Yeah, so let's call it a veiled racist charge. I'm not saying you're a racist, but here's a bunch of examples where you're pretty racist. But I'm not saying you're a racist, but here's the big problem I have with this is that most of the time, and I know David pretty well, most of the time David Irving's self-delusional con game only takes down one victim, himself. But this time, he's trying to con people again. He's trying to justify his unorthodox departure from football, and so he does so by attempting to pull Jason Garrett down into the muck with him with a veiled charge of racism. Saying he doesn't get along with people of color is the same thing as saying he's kind of racist. And in the middle of this conversation on CBS Radio, he kind of changes his tune to say, well, maybe he's just socially awkward. But number one, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube now.
Yep.
You already said it. It's almost as if David realized, maybe I went a little too far this time with trying to deflect what my real problems are. Because this is really a David Irving story. This is not a Jason Garrett story. And the deflection from David's real problems, had he just said that Garrett was socially awkward, well, we could all buy that because David Irving is also socially awkward, and maybe a bunch of us are too. But the veiled racism charges, they stick and they stain. And here's the biggest problem with them, Sean. You can't disprove them.
I agree, you can't disprove him, but I'm thinking that maybe they were just getting his wordings out of context. I don't think that he meant that Jason Garrett is racist. I just think that we look at Jason Garrett. Come on, let's be real. Let's be 100%, not 99, right? Jason Garrett is an awkward type of guy. I mean, how you doing, guys? That's Jason Garrett, man. So I don't think that he can identify with some of the players of hue. You know what I'm saying? They got that darkened melanin in their skin. Now, does that make him racist? Or vice versa, does it make the players racist because they can't kick it out and hang around with Jason Garrett? No. It's something about continuity. It's something about identifying yourself with a person and being able to have that immediate rapport with somebody. Just like we talked about with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz earlier. They have those type of rapport. Not everybody is born with that gift. Not everybody's like a Pete Carroll of the worlds, right? So I don't think that David Irving meant to say that he's racist or anything. I just think that David Irving just said the message in a wrong way. And of course, as we already know, with the national media, with the Dallas Cowboys, with that silver and blue, the media is going to take it and run with it, and it's just going to be all type of craziness going on back and forth. My thing is, we understand, we know exactly who Jason Garrett is collectively. For those who got their heart of hearts, he's not a guy that you're going to say, okay, let's go bust open these spades right quick, Jason. Look, man, deuce is wild, joker, joker, deuce, deuce. I don't think that he's going to be able to identify with that. Or we start talking about certain rap lyrics and things like that. I don't think that he's going to be able to identify with that. And I could be 1,000,000% wrong. But the chances are is that it's how you doing, guys? It's just an old button-up situation. Just that's the reality of it. And David Irving, he's one of those young guys. I think, how old is he? 24, 25, still wet behind the ear, and just don't understand life altogether right now. Just don't understand what to say and what not to say at certain times. Look, you don't have to tell and explain to everybody everything, right? All you got to do is just sit back sometimes and just watch. Just watch.
You can't defend yourself against him. You can't get down in the muck and win that wrestling match with David Irving. I've already had people in the last 12 hours say, Fish, why don't you call Michael Irvin and put this to bed? Why don't you call Darren Woodson and put this to bed? Emmitt Smith. Those are three guys from Garrett's playing days that would all testify, no. Or why don't you call a couple of his running buddies, social running buddies, which include Miles Austin and DeMarco Murray, and they could put it to bed? Or why don't right now we just call Dak Prescott and Jalen Smith and put it to bed. And the reason that I'm not doing it that way, and the reason that Garrett probably won't do it that way, to line up testimony on his behalf, is that the people that think what David Irving said is true will now always think it, because you can't prove a negative. I can't prove what's in my head and my heart and my soul. You can't see it. So once you've accused me of
Fish
racism,
hot, boy.
you got me. You win. I'm stuck.
In all of Jason's time here as a player, coach, you covering him, have you ever heard anyone else suggest anything like this?
There are always the disgruntled ex-employees with an axe to grind who want to swing that axe around. I think Garrett, in his 30 years here, though, have established that while he may be flawed in this way or that his attempts to do the right thing, his attempts to get the most out of his players, his attempts to bring them together, his attempts to motivate them, and his attempts to teach them are pure. And what bothers me, I guess, the most about this is David knows that. Garrett has established himself to be a character guy. And David knows that. And David hasn't established himself to be a character guy. This is an irresponsible allegation made by an irresponsible person, and worst of all, an attempt to brand another man in a way that really is a reflection on yourself. Because this isn't about Jason Garrett ordering David to leave the practice facility because you should just go be an actor because you like to get high. The Cowboys did that to protect David Irving because the P-Cup guy was coming that day.
The P-Cup
and they would
guy.
tell David Irving, you probably want to go home today because you're going to get tested again and you're going to fail again. You can't prove anything beyond that, but I can prove over many, many conversations that I've had with David and conversations that he's had with me about his conversations with Garrett that David Irving certainly didn't feel this way a year ago when he was in his custody battle, needed to go to California to chase down his missing daughter, and went to Garrett's office and asked him, Coach, do I have permission to leave? And Jason Garrett, according to David's own words to me, said, do whatever you have to do to get your little girl. Now, that doesn't sound to me like someone who is harboring hatred or not understanding his players or not understanding people of color or, dare I say, somebody that is motivated by racism. David Irving asked for a lot of leeway last year, and this coach and this organization gave it to him. And the only time that he finally burned himself out was when he got his ankle injury, which, by the way, as we reported at the time, many of his teammates thought he was faking.
Right.
Many of them were rolling their eyes as he was going off on a stretcher because they'd seen it from him, the con, so many times before. But this organization kept him employed, kept him on the 53, kept paying him, even though he wasn't showing up to work, in large part out of sympathy for his financial situation. And Garrett was a part of that, and David knows that.
Mike Fisher,
Boy, you'll put up a lot of things when you're talking about potentials, man. And that's the only thing that I'm mad about David Irving, because I can look at him and say, man, boy, his stats, his way of pressuring into the inside. We would have won that Rams game. I call them Lambs. We would have beat the Rams if we had David Irving, somebody that can just collapse that pocket and create pressure into the inside and shut off their running lane. Man, it would have been a whole lot harder for them to run on us, man. And that's why I'm only upset a little bit at David Irving. If he could have got his affairs in order, man, I'm telling you, this guy was up there. I'm not freaking kidding with you all. Look up his stats and stuff like that. It was up there in the worlds of Aaron Donald's. I'm for real. I can't make this stuff up. But, sometimes people don't have their heads screwed on right. And I think that's why the Cowboys gave him time and time and time and time again. And it's just one of those things, Cowboy Nation. Boy, lost calls. I just think that David Irving, he was just speaking, shooting from the hip, and he just wasn't cautious of his words of how he can say with people of color. And this is another thing. He's right on certain aspects of it. Not everybody, my grandfather used to say this all the time, not everybody's lying on you, right? somewhere lies the truth, right? Somewhere lies the truth, meaning that something, if more than one people are saying something about you in certain factors, if we heard stories of DeMarcus Ware, DeMarco Murray, Sam Hurd, Patrick Creighton, Terrell Owens, Jason Hatcher, they all have something negative to say about Jason Garrett. Now, although Jason Garrett may not lost the entire locker room, I think that Jason Garrett is a very brilliant, smart guy. Somebody put down in the chat box that he's a bookworm, basically. He knows the book, but not everybody's lying on you. I mean, if you got all these people, Orlando Scandrick, you got everybody talking about you in negative fashions, somebody's telling the truth somewhere. It's just got to be the reality of it. Now, to me personally, I think that Jason Garrett is one hell of a motivator. I really do. I think he delivers speeches well. I think that he does those things. He prepares. I think he can get those things going. But I use this analogy all the time with Jason Garrett. As long as the GPS is running and operating, he can tell you everything about the city. But the moment that GPS is broken, he can't tell you how to get to the Highway 20. He can't tell you where 35 at, north or south. He just not, or east, I meant to say. So he's not able to identify with his locations once everything is broken down. But man, when everything is well oiled and everything is going well, man, he figured things out. But that's just my thoughts, man. Let me know when we have the call-in sessions and a few of what you guys think about that.
CBS Sports Radio insinuated that Jason Garrett had a problem connecting with David. And does that mean he's got a problem connecting in general with players that are black? This is David Irving answering that question yesterday before Brian Broaddus joins us.
Yeah, I think he does. I think it's a little uncomfortable for him. I'm not to say the man's racist. He's definitely not racist. Do not get me wrong. I don't know. It's just maybe he's socially awkward. And me personally, I feel like he has a problem. I know he has a problem with me because I don't necessarily, I guess, work as hard as he thinks I should work to be as good as I am at football. I feel like Jason's one of those guys where, growing up in football, he was always the second-hand man or the third-string guy. And I feel like he had to work his ass off to even be able to step on the field with some of these guys, where me, I could roll over out of the bed with a hangover and go outperform anybody. And I don't think he likes that.
What do you think of the comments, Broaddus?
He's right about that last statement.
That Jason resents it, or that David could roll out of bed and do it?
He can roll out of bed and be hungover and go get some production. But, I think nobody's been more critical of Jason Garrett in this market than me. I've tried to fire him 3 years now. I keep talking about that, and he's shown me 3 championship hats every time I do that. So, I think it's unfortunate that David has taken this tact. If you want to talk about your own shortcomings, and I thought that Mike Fisher did really good radio with you this morning. I did. I thought that was very insightful. I think it's from the source. He's had dealings with David Irving. David Irving obviously trusted him, and I thought Mike, we talk about being fair and balanced and being critical, but getting you the news. I don't want to give Fish too much credit, but I will give him credit on that one, because I thought he painted a very accurate picture of the demons that David Irving has to deal with every day, and to bring Jason Garrett into this, I think is very unfortunate. And to call someone a racist, I think in this day and age is really the wrong tack to take. If Jason Garrett socially awkward, yeah, he is. He's one of those guys that you never totally feel comfortable talking to him. Because true. You're trying to. How
you doing, guys?
You understand he's a guy that's very bright.
Yep.
He's very well read.
Right.
He's got a lot of different interests. He's just he's one of those guys you just kind of don't know which way to go with him. I do know for a fact though that he was one of the last guys that gave in on the Dez Bryant thing. I mean, when everybody else was pointing the finger and wanting to get rid of Dez Bryant and all that, it was Jason Garrett that was standing there and saying, well, wait a minute, guys, we really want to do this. So, Jason Garrett, I think, always has the best interest of his players at heart. They always play hard for him. They don't quit on him. I think that's something to his credit. He does try and get the right kind of guy, but for a man to go on a national radio program and point the finger and start to talk about racism and stuff, I think is reckless and irresponsible on his part, but that's what David Irving's career has been, reckless and irresponsible.
Agreed. The other day you pointed out maybe we should pump the brakes on this Randy Gregory extension,
yes.
Which made a lot of sense that the Cowboys website last week did not put it up, and a week later it's being reported. What do you think is the holdup?
Well, I think the holdup is, though, when was the contract potentially signed, and when was, they want to make sure what benefit is this really for the player? Where is this contract going? Is there any real benefit here? And the league is really they evaluate every single contract. So you have to look at the date is when it was executed, and that's just a thought of mine. And then also, though, what's the benefit from it? And, what's the end game here for the organization and for the players? So I think, the league is going to always go through contracts. Again, no matter whose contract it is, whether it's a very large contract or a very small contract, they take these very seriously. And so they're just making sure that everything's taken care of and the intent is in the right place for them to get this deal done.
What is the big difference, Brian, between – I've been critical of the Randy Gregory support.
Sure.
What do you think is – first off, do you agree with their support of Randy? And what's the big difference between Randy and David Irving?
I'll tell you what. One loves football but just has some mental issues. Another guy has mental issues and doesn't love football. I think that's where you look at the two players. I think the Cowboys – I learned a very valuable lesson.
That's deep right there what Brian Brothers just broke down. One loves football but have those mental issues, and one have mental issues but don't love football. And we already know what he's talking about, so that's deep, man. Hey, I don't know what else to say, man, about this whole scenario. All I can say is that hopefully, and I mean just that, down the line somewhere, Randy Gregory can get back out there on the football field, and David Irving can find himself. I just hope that those two things transpire during my lifetime or during the time that I'm on this earth, hopefully. And Randy Gregory got all the skills in the world, and I don't know how a person can live through or live with bipolar syndromes and withdrawals and things like that. I just don't know how they can feel, and then on top of that with David Irving, I just don't know. I heard he had the same little issues too. So it's a conundrum with both of them. On one hand, you would say, okay, they got all the talent in the world. And on the other hand, you can say they smoked it away, or one just too lazy to put forth the effort, or it's just not in his heart of hearts. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith too. You guys know how I feel about Stephen A. Smith, but I will say this: ESPN just dropped him a bag of $10 million. Not 9, not 8, not 7, not 5, or not 4, not even 1. $10 million just to get on the airways and be an entertainment piece. So it's remarkable for the amount of money that people can make in this world if they apply their minds to it. And you see that Stephen A. Smith, he applies his mind to it, right? He's able to have these riches. And if you look at Randy Gregory, he tried to apply his mind to it, but he had his withdrawals. The call-in number is 682-214-4087. That's the call-in number. Feel free to call in to give the nation your thoughts. What's on your mind with David Irving, or with Jason Witten, or with Randy Gregory, or with the draft picks that we got coming around the corner. The 58 pick, we have Ed Too Tall Jones. He's going to give out the 58 pick. He's going to make that announcement. So hopefully he can rub off some of that good old luck, and we can pick up a defensive player, because you guys know I'm leaning more towards defense than anything. And I'm going to try to read some of you all comments too that's in the chat box here. Shout out to Virginia Finance and Miss Scouting Pro. Charles Haley also had mental issues and loved football. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that brother, he loved football. Diversity says trade Lawrence. You got to have a dancing partner. Lewis says, Jimenez says Stephen A. Smith is a very smart man. I agree. He's very intellectual. But, of course, it's an entertainment piece, too. So he knows how to weigh out his battles, right? He knows how to get things going in the right directions in those fashions.
Call from
right.
Luis Jimenez.
Luis, talk to me, man. Talk to the nation.
Just want to say, I'm in favor of everybody making money. Everybody should make money. I don't think anybody should be denied any kind of money you can make.
Right.
I wanted to tell you a couple of weeks ago, a former Cowboy. Give me 1 second. Let me know this.
You gotta hold it down, huh? Yeah, I hear you regulating. Go ahead.
You know what? I see your platform and I see you working. I know it gets over a lot of people's heads, but that's okay. I like your message there. Another former Cowboy came in. I think he was a defensive lineman. I want to say it was Canty, but I'm not certain it was him. He came in a couple of weeks ago talking all kinds of mad, about Tony Romo also. That he's not one of the guys.
Jason Hatcher.
Oh, yeah, I think it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's not one of the fellas because he's Jerry's son or whatever. They saw him as the establishment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Cheech, I think Cowboys should just let him walk. He's been getting owned by his girlfriend or wife or whatever. I don't think he thinks like a little boy. I've seen his quotes before. It's not like an adult or even a young adult talking.
Now, which player is this you were referring to?
Irving.
David Irving. Yeah, he's gone.
Reference, yeah. I think Gregory, if I'm not mistaken, he may have some sort of illness, some sort of issue where he requires the lettuce. And I think Goodell was understanding or they have some sort of arrangement. I don't know what that arrangement is. But, I mean, alcohol kills and maims thousands and hundreds of thousands of Americans on a yearly basis. And when teams win, they bathe in it, and they tolerate it, they promote it, they advertise it. I don't see, I see a double standard here with weed, is my point there. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm following you. As far as marijuana and what it can do and all this stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't say everybody should go light up, but I don't think that they should be that's hypocritical. I think, in my opinion, anyways. Let me see, what else do I have? I think that's it, man. I didn't think I was going to get a hold of you. I've been wanting to just say good job, and I really appreciate all the time that you put into this and just give us so much information. I really appreciate that. All right. Man, appreciate you for calling in to the nation, man. Continue to watch and thank you for your support, man. Yeah. Appreciate you.
You take care.
Yes, indeed, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's about it, man. But I appreciate you for calling in.
Hey, I call the lambs also when I used to live in LA, and they were in LA. And I've been a Cowboys fan since Roger Staubach. I had my Roger Staubach jersey, but I had my favorite Cowboy was always Bill Bates. A guy that wasn't drafted. He was too slow, too small, too short, too everything, negative. But that guy was always first to the ball.
You like me. You like the underdogs, right? You like the ones that everybody count out, and you root for the guy that you just know for sure that nobody say they have a chance, and you root for that guy, right? You like me, Dan. Hello? You still there? I must have underdog you out, man. But Cowboy Nation, one way or another, I think that really, when you really look at everything from A to Z, as it relates to David Irving's situation, as it relates to the Randy Gregory situation. Both of those guys got talent. They got tons of talent. They got tons of abilities out there. But are they using it to their best ability to use their ability? I would say no. When you want something bad enough, you would go out and fight for it, right? To work day and night for it, to give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it, you know. So that's my battle cry. And I understand that, you know, sometimes situations and roadblocks and things get in the way. But, you know, that's just the policy of the NFL. Hopefully, the new collective bargaining agreement, they can just remove the substance abuse or the PED, some of the PEDs, because some of the PEDs just you flat out can't do, you know, steroids and things like that. But I just hope that they can revamp and relook at everything, right? Who else we have here? Kerry Teagle, shout out to you, man. That Tiki Barber post you put up there was spot on. Yeah, I heard about it many of times before he made that article about the marijuana uses and when they do the actual drug test. They do it actually on 420, believe it or not, National Marijuana Day or however that day is. They do it on those days. Shout out to Money Making Mall and Copperface and Swaggy D. Salute, man. They allow you to know when you're going to get tested. And the only thing is once you're in the program, you got those random visits. But I'm thinking just like what Mike Fisher said in the quote-unquote interview, he was saying that normally when Jason Garrett was telling, hey, David Irving, don't come in today. Do not come in today. You got the guy going around with the pea cup. Don't come in today. And that was just Jason Garrett looking out for him. 75% of the NFL smoke weed every day. This is from Copperface King. I don't know if that number is accurate. I think that there's just an assumption that everybody smoke. I know some people just can't stand the smell of smoke. I know some people love the blaze, you know. So I don't think that 75%, that's a large number that everybody smoke bud. I know some people just don't even touch and fool with it, you know. So, but it could be the actual number. If all 75% of everybody pull out that joint and start smoking it, hey, the NFL gonna have a major problem. I just say that the NFL just need to remove themselves of just testing it and just stick to, okay, what's going on a Sunday and what's going on a Monday and what's going on a Thursday. They don't need to be just trying to test everybody for those type of substances unless they're inebriated, unless they going out there on the field and you see them wobbling around. Or they should do it like this. Those who out there who drive trucks or what have you, got the CDL license or a part of an organization that drive trucks. When you drive a truck, there's a certain type of license that you have to upkeep. And in the event that somebody runs into you, regardless of whether or not it was your fault or someone else's fault, guess what happened? You still have to take a test, right? You still have to take a drug test to make sure that everything is okay. Although you might have been in the right, you know, and somebody else was in the wrong and they ran the red light and they hit you, your company going to have to say, okay, we still have to get that drug test. I think the NFL need to fall under those lines. Just maybe they can have a better ruling. Whereas if an NFL player get arrested for, I guess, selling or distributing certain drugs, or if a person gets into a car wreck and they have a DUI or DWI, either or, then they can do those testings and say, okay, well, we want you to be better, but according to your tox screen here, it seems that you had this level of alcohol in you, so we're going to have to suspend you for 3 games, or you had this amount of you got caught with this amount of weed on you, you know, things like that. Maybe they can just circumvent the rulings there to make everything work out for everyone. David Irving is on that weed. Some savage time. This is what Mike Fisher was bringing up as far as the David Irving versus a Randy Gregory. David Irving just don't love football. we remembered we saw little Cole Beasley crawling after every play when he got the first down or when he caught the ball. He had a high ankle sprain. David Irving, shoo. He said, man, I'm finna go on that sideline and, hey, I'm finna smoke one. You want to smoke one? Two different mindsets, two different type of mentalities. It's not just the NFL players. This is Miss Scouting Pro. If you live in Dallas, hang out with the Citizens or the, I guess, the Steers on Fridays, on Friday night, or status on Saturdays. Laugh out loud. I mean, hey, and people blaze. Yes, I agree. Bro, why you keep talking about truck driving? Lee Payne, I was just giving an analogy. Truck driving is something that, anybody that drive any type of truck, if they get, into a car wreck, their company going to have to do a drug test regardless. This is how the rules and the regulations of the world is, I guess, in the United States. Rodney Ellis, when I was in the military, I wanted to smoke, but I couldn't because of a ruling. I agree. You can still smoke, but there's consequences and repercussions. That's just the bottom line. Somebody says, DJ Cobb says, Lil Brunson has been sending shots all off season. Who's Lil Brunson? Who's Lil BRUNSON? That wasn't at you, Law Nation. Some other guy. Okay, Lee, I appreciate you. Sean White, it's all about the maturity, and David Irving is very immature with his mindset. Yeah, I mean, you can see that the immaturity is there. I mean, boy, hey, I remember when I was in my 20s, 15 years ago, right? That's a long time. Boy, when I was in my early 20s, 15 years ago, I acted different than I do now. But if I can go back and talk to my younger self, man, I would tell my younger self a lot of things. I give my younger self a lot of secrecies that I wouldn't have to go through and learn from. But at the same time, 15 and 16 and 17 years ago, I wouldn't be able to receive that message because I was so immature. I was so young, right? I was so thinking to myself that I can take over the world just with my mind and thoughts and things like that, and just be that guy, be that dog out there, and do this wrong and do that wrong. You see, but when you get a little older and you get a little wiser, you look back and you try to learn from your mistakes, and that's why they say the wise man learns from another man's mistakes, right? That's what they say out there, right? Let me see. Just time and place for everything. Yes, money make him all. Yes, it's a time and place for everything. Miss Scouting Pro, every Cowboy fan that smokes repeats the narrative. That narrative. What narrative about smoking is not bad and things like that? Look, it's, I don't know, man. The whole marijuana situation is different from alcohol. It's both can do. Well, one can say, well, marijuana, there's never been this and that, and never seen nobody get this and that done with marijuana. But have you been around somebody who had that strawberry kush on them? Music so loud, you say, man, you got to turn that music down, fam. If you're not smoking it, you're not having fun with it. If you're just sitting back chilling and you smell somebody that's been blazing like a tree, like a Christmas tree, blazing it up, just lit up like a Roman candle, you're going to be like, man, bro, can you turn that music down, fam? But that's just the difference, when, I smoke a cigar here and there, right? So when I blaze a cigar and I go into a building or something like that, they know that, hey, man, bro, you've been smoking a cigar. Boy, you lit. So it's difference between a smoker and a drinker. But both can reek, somebody that drink too much, you can smell it all over them too. So, I mean, it's a hard new stance. I know that the new era is that everybody want to be doing everything and each and everything, but it's just the reality of it. It is. It is. And I wish I could. Strawberry Kush. Yes, you know what I'm talking about, money making mall. Yes, indeed. And it don't all the way smell like strawberries, right? So because of David Irving's situation, nobody in the NFL should have their freedom to choose what they want to do when they're not playing. No, I agree that everybody should have their own freedom to do whatever they want. It's America. You know, one of my favorite movies of all time is Coming to America. You know, you remember that scene when old boy said, "This is America, Jack. I don't know what y'all do over there in Africa, but I'll stick my foot up your royal," you know. Yes, indeed, boy. But I think that it's all in the nature of how you deliver it, you know. So if David Irving delivered everything well, then people would have been more on his side. If David was like, you know what? David Irving at this point is speaking the truth right now. But when you come at it at the wrong way, you get slapped in the face. You know, just like a guy when he approaching a lady. Some guys can just go about it and say, "Hey, girl, let me hit," you know. But that's not going to work for all the guys. The proper way would be, excuse me, I couldn't help but to notice your smile. You know, that's a better approach. And my name is Law. You know, how you doing today? You know, that type of stuff. Oh, your name is Sandy. Hey, Sandy. You know, and then you go along with that. But if you just walk up to Sandy and say, "Hey, girl, let me hit," you're not gonna get that far, unless you got some crazy money or something crazy like that. Let me see what we got here.
Call from.
Right.
Talk to me, man. Talk to the nation. What's going on?
What's going on now, man? 2 nights, huh? 2 nights in a row. Huh?
Nights in a row.
I just had to get on about this marijuana situation. You know, I'm not
to me.
I think people missing the whole point about the marijuana. I heard them talking on a podcast or something like that earlier during the week. I think it was on like the NFL on my satellite radio. And I heard him explaining that he wanted to self-medicate.
Right.
Which I guess that's the new, I ain't gonna say talking point, but a lot of people like to go natural. Mm-hmm. They don't want to take the opioids, which would get you hooked, you know, and then opioids lead to cocaine addiction, you know, cocaine addiction, and then leads to, you know, whatever else. And I think he has a point on that, you know, because marijuana is legal in 7, 8 states. 10, it might be more than that now. Mm-hmm. And so the NFL need to take a nuanced look at this. You know, first of all, your players are getting hurt on a daily basis,
right?
And instead of giving them pills to pop or giving them injection, why not let them smoke marijuana or you know, something that's more, you know, not as harmful as giving them pills. Once you get hooked on pills, you go to other things. That's a fact.
Right.
We all know that because,
right.
You know, that's a fact. I never heard nobody get hooked on marijuana and then say, "Well, I'm gonna smoke some cocaine after this." You know what I mean?
Nah. You gonna relax. You gonna mellow
out. Yeah, you gonna relax.
Right.
You gonna sit down. You gonna chill out and do other things. And I'm not making an excuse, but I think the NFL needs to start looking at this like, man, you know, we have a lot of people that's doing this, and a lot of careers are being ended because of this. Look at who was that? Wasn't it Brett Favre got hooked on pills after he was injured? Remember that?
Right.
That was a while back. You know, he had got hooked on pills. He had to go to rehab and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He had to. He literally had to go to rehab for that. He didn't get suspended or none of that stuff. They let him go to rehab. Right. He didn't get anything. Remember?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if people remember that, but yeah, he checked himself in the off season to rehab. And he was like, "Well, you know, I'm addicted to painkillers and stuff like that." Well, that's what the NFL do to you. You know, you're in so much pain every single day to where your body just can't take it. So, you know, and if marijuana is legal, just imagine marijuana is legal in certain states. What if you smoke in those states and not smoke nowhere else?
Right.
So you can't have a career. You can't have a career anymore. I live in Louisiana. Even Louisiana is starting to relax their laws on marijuana.
Right.
That's something that I thought would never happen.
Yeah, but
I live in Lake Charles. They're about to give we're about to open up a marijuana store. I mean, medical marijuana facility out here, because it's coming to a point to where certain drugs are not as bad as people made it out to be. They banned with marijuana in the 1920s or 30s.
They did.
Because they thought it was very harmful. They thought people would go crazy and just think about that. That was the mentality back then.
Right.
Yeah, you smoke marijuana, you're going crazy. Actually, it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
You smoke marijuana, you be mellow.
Be mellow. This how if you think about the peace pipe, you smoke that peace pipe, you sit down.
I think Colorado, they have it to where they're going to start testing sort of like alcohol, to where, okay, if you smoke in so many days or whatever, because, marijuana stays in your system, 26, 30 days? I mean, it stays in your system a long time, even though you don't smoke.
Right, or you can pluck that hair. You can pull that hair.
Yeah.
And then, but this is the thing. I think that, let's say, for example, you get on a plane, and the pilot blazed the night before, right? And although he's straight, he cool, but he didn't have no way to wash his shirts or change out his uniform or what have you. He blazed with his uniform on. Yeah, so you step on that plane, you say, man, that music loud on this plane. Boy, somebody lit. But you look up and you say, man, the cockpit, man, it smell like somebody got that strawberry kush up in there, man. And all of a sudden, you 500,000 feet in the air, you sweating now because you thinking about like, man. But that same pilot, his co-pilot, could have drunk a whole fifth of hen, right?
Man, nobody's bad at eye.
and nobody bad at eye because
they just imagine they give you 2 hours.
Go ahead, talk to me.
They give you 2 hours at my job to get that drink out yourself. That's what they tell them. You got 2 hours. 2 hours to get all the alcohol out your system, and you come back to work and you be good. It's like, damn, that don't seem like a long time. Everybody drinking a 6-pack or whatever. I don't smoke or drink, but I believe that marijuana is one of them things that that should be taken a second look at, because I don't think it's as harmful. It's not as harmful as cigarette.
Yeah,
cigarettes don't cause cancer. It may not affect you. Yeah, it might not affect you immediately like marijuana, but man, down the road, you might not have a throat.
Right, or a jawline or something. I seen the one commercial. They had to remove that person's jaw. Yeah, from tobacco.
Yeah, I mean, but I never heard of nobody smoking cigars that does that. Because it's a different effect.
Different effect.
Cigars, it's a different effect than tobacco. Tobacco is made a totally different way.
And you been out inhale on that cigar too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You smoke on it just to look cute. Yeah, you smoke on it like, hey man, like I'm smoking a cigar. I only smoke a cigar like a few times. Whenever my children were born and then my granddaughter was born.
Right.
That's about it. And what I take out of it, it's cool.
But you know what? To get everything back on the page with the NFL, I got to use this analogy.
Yeah.
I think the NFL, they could have avoided all of this stuff by the assumption of risk, meaning that when you sign up to play for this particular sport, you're gonna get injured. There's no maybe, you're going to get injured. Just like when I was coming out of high school, a few of my guys, man, that was in high school with me, they said, look, they finna go over there where you at, and they finna go offshore and work on the oil field. Don't you know that the starting pay is $90,000 a year to go off seas, work on those oil rigs or what have you? But on the flip side, you're gonna be out to sea for 4 to 5 months. There was some guys that came back and their whole house was rearranged. Came back and said, man, I ain't know my boo was pregnant already because she didn't stepped out on him. You know what I mean? So it's issues on all type of situations. You can't go out there on the oil field, out there off seas, offshore, as they say, and be motion sickness and say, well, I can't work this job because I'm motion sickness and it's their fault because I'm out there. No, it's assumption of risk. You know what I mean? So that's just how life is. When you partake in certain jobs, there's going to be some repercussions. There's going to be some situation that happen.
Chemical, and I work at Westlake Chemical and stuff. You know, I'm dealing with chemicals all the time. And, you know, I know the risk. You know, I told my wife I know the risk is. You know, you just know. Like you get paid all this money. Yeah. You know, and you just 6 figures a year, and it's 6-figure risk.
6-figure risk, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but the NFL, like you said, you know you're gonna get hurt. You know you're gonna get injured. You know, some people pain tolerance is more than others. Some people can play hurt. Some people can play injured. You know, but hello.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm listening to some people hurt. Some people play injured. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know you're gonna get injured. You know you're gonna get hurt. It's just the severity of it. And I just think that marijuana is not one of them things to where people be like, well, they shouldn't be doing it. And okay, but it's starting to become legal. You don't think you should take a second look at this? Mm-hmm. I mean, you shouldn't. Yeah. You don't think you should be like in your meetings, be like, okay, fellas, because it seems like the NFL is the only one that have a problem. You know, like you don't hear that in baseball. You don't hardly hear that in basketball.
Right.
You don't hear that in hockey at all. You know,
they say the best news is no news, and I think that they just know how to mask it a little bit better. And Roger Goodell, man, we didn't hear these many cases, man, when Paul Tagliabue was out there. We know that Michael Irving had that little white powder. Shout out to Michael Irving, man. And we knew that LT had that little white stuff. And Hollywood Henderson, we knew that those guys, shout out to number 56, we knew that.
But it was betterment for the game.
They wasn't going to sit there and say, hey, we're going to suspend these guys, you know.
Yeah, these guys, I don't know what they're doing. Even Mike Irvin, when he had this little trial, he just said it was like, well, you know, found cocaine here and but they didn't care. They didn't say, okay, we're gonna start testing them after this.
Right.
And then, you know, it was a different time. They really cared about the league. I say they really cared about the league because they wanted their stars out there. They wanted the best product. See, they wanted the best product on the field. You know, and that's the bottom line. That I think they're worried about being litigated and stuff like that. Other issues. You can't have your best players on the field and your best stars. They're always suspended. What's the use? I'd rather watch something else.
Roger Goodell is one of those guys that, you know, he allowed the public opinion. You know, with the situation.
He's not really a football person.
Yeah, with the situation with Ray Rice. I'm going all the way back to Ray Rice when he knocked out his fiance in the elevator. Yeah. All Roger Goodell had to do was say, "Hey, guys, the policy is 2 games." After reviewing the tape, we had the tape. If he would just gutter with it a little bit and say, we had the tape, but the policy was 2 games. We suspended the man for 2 games. I know that everybody want to cry about it, but this is what we're going to do now. I'm going to suspend the guy for what? 4 more games. It's 6 games now. We went above and beyond, and that's it. We're gonna let it be. And he wasn't arrested, what have you. I know it can look shameful for the NFL or what have you, but life goes on. And then he should have just stuck behind the shield and said, you know what? Do you want me to start looking at all of the senators, the congressmen who had domestic disputes and stuff like that, and put that onto the networks and things like that? But no, Roger Goodell allowed the media to curve and do all types of stuff. I just can't stand
Roger Goodell. He was worried about the backlash, and then now look at it. You know, that led to Zeke getting suspended. Then now it led to the old boy from Kansas City. He got 8 games next year or something, or 6, whatever he got.
He got 8 games this year. And I'm still waiting for an arrest report for Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott never been arrested, and Roger Goodell for him to be all up high and mighty to say, okay, I know for sure that this guy did something heinous. You know what I'm saying?
But he wasn't even in the league yet. That's another thing. He wasn't even in the league yet. He was still in college when that allegedly happened. So how does that affect your league when that happened before you was even drafted? You know how does that even work? That's like remember they did it to Pry, the quarterback for Ohio State. Like he wasn't even in the league. They suspended him when he was signing those autographs. Remember that? They say he took a car and he signed an autograph. Well, that happened on Ohio State. How is that even transferred to the? He got suspended for a whole year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how many games he got suspended, but he got suspended like a whole year. And
yeah, man, it's always crazy stuff, man. It's a result the new regime of Roger Goodell, you know.
It's the CEO regime. They don't look at it as, well, this is football. They look at it as money-making enterprise. You know, because his salary, $40 million a year? Guaranteed.
I think it's like 42 now. It's 43.
Yeah,
I don't want to shortchange
$40 million guaranteed.
It's guaranteed.
You know, he one of the richest people in sports, and he can guarantee money. Now you have these people that don't even get guaranteed money. You know, after they guarantee
that's
money,
another
they
deal
can cut
too.
you.
Yeah, that's another deal. I mean, I look at it and I talked about it on this channel from days and days ends that all of these owners are billionaires, right? Can you agree?
Every last one of them.
Every last one of them. Half of the stadiums that they pay at, they don't pay. They don't pay for that. It's all tax based.
Even Jerry Jones Stadium was half paid by the taxpayer. Like he built his nose. The taxpayer paid half of that.
People in Arlington right now pissed off, man. They really mad about the property taxes around there. But at the end of the day, only to pay everybody is only $188 million per team. Yeah. That don't equal out right, you know. But let me hush though, because I don't want to talk too much about the NFL, you know.
Yeah, they might like, oh, we got to get Law Nation.
Yes, indeed. Law Nation trying to cut off the plug from us.
We're trying to tell on.
We're going to copyright everything that he do now.
We make sure he'll never.
We're going to Thanos this guy. Yeah.
It's fun talking to you a lot, man. You know, football, Cowboys, that's our thing. So hopefully next year, I don't think Irving coming back. Gregory, they probably suspend him another 8 games. Hopefully it's just 8 games, but you never know. I think Irving was right. Irving said if the players would stand up for themselves, then this wouldn't be happening over and over again.
Well, the NFL is the most fickle sport of all time as it relates to players standing up. Just like I said, with the collective bargain agreement coming around the corner, I thought
they got to stand up for themselves.
They don't because you know why? It's only what? It's 53 people on every team, right? Yeah. And 10 of them, well, it's 63 because 10 are practice wide. The moment. Yeah, the moment they say, well, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, all those guys, the moment they say, okay, they're gonna what do you call that? When you don't play and they're not gonna go out there on the field, what do you call that? Strike. The NFL strike.
They're gonna reach out. They was locked out. Everybody thought they was on a strike, but they was locked out by the owners.
Locked out by the owners. What's going to happen?
No, I'm saying, but the last time they was locked out. This time it's most likely it'll be a strike.
Right, it'll be a strike. But guess what's going to happen? The owner's going to reach out to the XFL players, all those AAF players, and say, hey, come on out here. There's a high temperament, man, for this football.
We'll pay you so much money. We'll pay you more money than you ever seen in your life. And you know what? They're going to cross that picket line.
Yep, or they're going to reach out to Law Nation.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on a hat. I'm going to put on
come play that secondary for.
Come play that deep safety for 40,000 or not for 400,000 or whatever that salary is for 280,000.
They say like, look, we'll give you that much money, and that's below league minimum. We like, man, I can't pass that up.
You can't pass it up.
I can't pass that up. But you know, it's like I remember you was talking about this the other day. The Cowboys gonna take a hit because their drafted players is not because in NBA it doesn't count against your salary cap. It goes against your luxury tax. But all your drafted players count against your salary cap. You can't even sign your players because if they're good, and we know we have a few of them, how can you pay all of them and have a legit team? You can't. Dak gonna get paid. Zeke gonna get paid. You know, Maury was traded. He got to get paid. D-Law got to get paid. And those secondary, Byron Jones got to get paid. Uzi eventually going to have to get paid. I mean, how are you going to navigate that? It's impossible.
The only way you can hope for it is that every year it goes up by 10.5%, or 10 million or something like that.
So they talking about
yeah.
Your boy from Seattle might get $35 million.
You talking about Russ?
Yeah, they talking about he might get $35 million.
And he's gonna reset the market.
That's why they were saying. Yeah, that's why they were saying Dak might get $30 million. I was like, man, I hope not, because that's pretty much salary cap gone right there.
Yeah, you gotta have a
cutthroat
type
18.
of mentality. Yep.
I love Zeke, but sure, you know, running backs a dime a dozen, but great ones last a little while. But he only have about 4 more great years left. I hope not, but you know, for him to be at peak because he's a running back and he takes hits.
Yeah, he's not Emmett knew how to get out of bounds.
Yeah, he want to hit people every play. That's not gonna happen, man. You know, we saw it with all the great running backs. Eventually, they just take a nosedive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think that
he got a great line.
Yeah, he got a great line. I think that Zeke will make it through his second contract, but when he gets to his third contract, it's going to be
that's what I'm saying.
Some
you know,
hard realities.
4 years, $18 million a year or something. I mean, that's the most, right? $18 million somebody running back got paid.
Yeah, but as long as you beat that guarantee, I think these younger cats, they want their guarantee bag now. You can't fool them with the I guess the annual salary. They want to know what's guaranteed out of it. And
I'd rather take the guarantee too. I'd rather take a lower. Unless you get a big signing bonus, you know, some of them get $40-50 million now.
Yeah.
But didn't running back didn't he get $66 million guaranteed or something?
I think the last guarantee, Gurley had got 40. Your boy that played for the Jets, Le'Veon, he got $35 million guaranteed. So
he messed up.
Yeah, he had a $70 million contract with $30 million guaranteed, but he wanted that extra money, so he sat out of a year, and they just gave him pretty much a lesser range. Yeah,
what, $14 million he missed? That was $14 million. He just didn't
that
sign.
too.
I don't. He'll never get that money. He'll never make that money.
You're right, man. Yes, indeed, man.
But hey, man, like I said, it's been good talking to you, Law, man, and I keep listening at the show right now. Take it easy, man.
Appreciate it, man. Take it easy too, man. Go Cowboys, right?
Yeah, go Cowboys. Blue and blue all day.
Yes, indeed. All day, every day, even twice on Sunday. Appreciate you, man.
Twice on Sunday, man. You know, my wife, I got the Sunday ticket just for the Cowboys. Because over here, you used to catch the Cowboys, and then, you know, I'm living in Saints World.
Right.
So my wife was like, we can't watch the game. I said, nah, baby, we're about to get rid of this cable, go to DirecTV, and get the Sunday ticket. I've been having it ever since.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna try to reach out for them for a sponsorship.
See, we're a Cowboys family over here. Only my son is a Seattle fan.
Oh, you know. He must be young then.
But my daughter and wife, we all over here be cheering for him. You'd be surprised how many Cowboys fans in Louisiana. I guarantee you, it's about half and half. You know, but take it easy, man.
Appreciate you, man. Salute, brother.
Salute to you too.
Yes, indeed. So look at young Wilson over here, man. Thank you for the donation to help grow the nation, young Wilson. He says, Law, for all of your hard work. Law Nation, aloha. Yes, indeed. He said, hey, and come on over for the Hawaii in August, the preseason game. Young. I had to check my schedule out, man. August is during the time of my anniversary, and you guys know how that goes, right? When you got that loved one on your side. But I will take a real good look at it, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the donation to help grow the nation, man. Anyone else, before I wrap this show up, man, I really appreciate each and every last one of you all. Anyone else want to jump in and let me know what's on your mind, what's on your mental, please feel free. The number's at the top of the screen there. You can just give that number a ring, and we can conversate from there, or as proper terms, converse from there. Who we have here? Zeke is a beast. He makes a living off of running. Yeah, he do. Let me see and find my phone. Where my phone at? Give me a few seconds. I tell you, I need a dual monitor. Here she go. Bam.
Call from.
Yo, you're live on the nation.
What up?
What's up,
Law?
Rich? What's going on?
How you gonna tell people to call you and then you don't know where your dang phone is?
Man, what happened was, what had happened is, this is what I got. This is my issue with this thing. I got an all-in-one CPU. Got 2 terabytes of data. I do everything from it. But the problem is, cool. I got my OBS. I got my chat box open, as well as the other, I guess, little tool tabs that I got, like the big screen and everything. So whenever somebody call, when I try to make it like a small window box for the Google, because it's a Google phone, the damn thing, what do you call it, shock out or spaz out on me. And it disconnects the call. So
bro, you got things going on I don't even. you got things going on I don't even know about, man. That's why I keep my little channel down in the peasant level. But I just wanted to say shout out to some of the guys in your channel. We was having some good talk there. Lee Payne and Cooper. We were talking about some Dak Prescott contract stuff, and they had some good. I had spoke to you before. I think they should do as long a contract as possible and try to spread the money out.
Right.
And one of the comments was, "Hey, Dak's too smart for that. He's going 4 or 5 years, and it's probably right. So we'll see. I know that they're working on that. A lot of people are wanting him to get paid this year, but I don't see a reason to do it if he's making less than $1 million this year. Why would you? If you got him for I think it's $680,000 this year. Why would you change that this year and bump him up to 23, 24, 27, 20, whatever he's going to demand this year? So I'm cool with sticking where we are. I know
you can go to Kirk Cousins route and just franchise him for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
You can go that route though,
Yeah. So we'll see. We need to pay Dak. I mean, he's the dude is solid. He's a winner. He don't have all the intangibles, I think, like a quarterback, but he has the winning, the leadership, the locker room. Those dudes will follow him into a fire. You know what I'm saying? Every dude on that team, defense and offense. So I'm good with Dak staying. We need to do that. But what you think about the draft, man? Where are we going at 58?
We're going to go defense. From what I heard from Brian Broaddus, he was leaning more towards like the defensive tackle or safety look, like the Taylor Rapps of the world, the Chauncey Gardners. He spoke of I forgot this defensive guy that he's spoken of earlier. It's a defensive tackle actually. So if we go with that, boy, yeah, I would just do a back flip to just know that we got that big plug that can go in the middle and they can help out LVE and Jalen. I would love that, whoever we get.
Yeah, I'm looking. I know they're looking at a couple of D tackles. I was looking at the 30 visits, and 2 of the guys they brought in are possibly late first rounders or mid second rounders. So I think they're looking at a couple of tackles. But I think if those guys aren't there, they're looking at about 4 or 5 safeties that should go right around the 58 pick. So I think they're looking primarily to go at safety if those 2 tackles aren't there. If one of those two, is one of them's a guy from Miami, and I can't recall his name. I wasn't expecting to call in. I'm about to head out here. It's 9:30 in the morning here in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
So I'm about to head out to take care of some business. Yeah, I got to go take care of some business. And I also called in because the dude gave you the super chat from Hawaii, and I just had an interview for a job over there. But I don't know how that's going to work out. It's too expensive over there, man. My man got to be making bank to buy a $6 loaf of bread. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's just expensive over there, man. I heard, it's one of those things where you're gonna have to have some money. Just like when I was out there in Cali this past week, it's expensive out there too.
Oh, were you there with Mark Holmes or?
No,
I know he.
My wife, she's from Dago. She's from San Diego. And,
okay.
And we went out there to just kick it, and hang out with the family out there to Walt Disneyland and things like that.
Cool. Well, I just wanted to get with you real quick, man. I know you was about to shut it down, so I'll let you do that. I wanted to throw this out there. To me, the big thing is, and I've been watching. I looked at the draft for 16, 17, and 18, all 3 years. And at around 58, we're going to get, if we go defensive tackle, we're going to get probably the defensive tackle, or I kind of combine them together, edge rushers and defensive linemen. We're going to get about the 15th to 18th defensive lineman off the board. But at safety, we're looking at getting the 4th or 5th safety off the board. So I think you get a better quality player going at safety. As well, I looked at Pro Bowl, rookie Pro Bowlers, only 4 of those that was like I said, in the last 3 years, it was close to, I think it was like 55 defensive linemen came off the board. Only 4 of them made the Pro Bowl. But at safety, you only had about 22 safeties come off the board in the last 3 years, and 6 of them made the Pro Bowl. So you get a lot better return, I think, on safety. As a younger player, I think these 24, 25-year-old and 23-year-old defensive tackles just don't have that man strength yet. You know what I mean?
True that.
You remember when you was 23? We were still growing back then.
We were.
So I think we do better with the window. I think we do better with the window we're in. We need to win now. We've seen players. To me, we've seen these player changes really, really change our team. Like when Dak came in, and we went 13-3. And then Cooper Rush came in, and not Cooper Rush. I'm sorry, Amari Cooper. So I think we need a playmaker back there in the secondary, and I think we need to go safety. So I'll let you throw that around. Let Cooper and Joey S. and the other dudes in your chat box and Lee chop that up, and I'll talk to you later. I got to head out.
Salute, brother. Appreciate all of the work you done.
Take care,
hey,
man.
Tell people where to follow you at too, man. Find your channel.
I'm at Cowboy Crunk. I'm on there. I just did a video yesterday on Jalen Hurd. He's one of the guys I'm pushing for in the draft. I don't know if you know who he is. He was a running back for Tennessee. He did 2 years at Tennessee. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate as a sophomore at running back, but he was just getting beat up, and he wanted to put some longevity on his career, so he changed to wide receiver. Tennessee wouldn't accept that, so he transferred to Baylor. When he transferred to Baylor, he had to sit out a year. So he only did 1 year at wide receiver, had 69 catches, like almost 1,000 yards, but he played a lot of running back too. So this dude's 6'4", 230, and plays the slot and running back. He'll wherever you want to line him up, he'll line. Though he is he has a stiff arm. He has a stiff arm that's crazy. He stiff armed this defensive lineman and flipped the dude over backwards, made him look like a safety.
Wow!
I was like, God dang, bro, this dude's he's solid.
He's solid.
We'll see where he goes. Yes, we'll see where he goes. Some people are projecting him in the 4th or 5th round, but some people are saying no, he'll be gone by the 2nd round. He's just too big of an athlete, too strong.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check that video out, and then I'm gonna share it to my little the little share feature where I'm posted to my YouTube page.
Check him out. There's a lot of people pushing for him because he's a local guy. But take care, brother. Cowboy Crunk out. Law Nation #1 for Cowboy information, guys. Hit him up.
Oh man, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Take care, man. Much love.
Likewise, man. That's what I'm talking about. Conversation for the nation, man. That's always good, man. Really appreciate each and every last one of you all for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. That's all the time that I have for this wonderful, and I'm talking about beautiful night. We're going to try to at least go live like 95 every night at this particular format, because I was going to do like some McCoy video, like the guy that we've been pretty much been talking about as far as picking up maybe after the draft when that number comes down a little bit, if nobody else pick him up from Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if we can work out some deals with them to see whether or not we can sign them on our team for it as far as the inside pressure if we don't find anyone in the draft. I'm going to do some film work on that. I just didn't want to do it so late, as far as the people just like, I'm druggy, I can't watch the video and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is this is my new format. All of my film sessions will be live. So you guys can see the transparency. Also, after my film sessions, I would do phone in. Well, you guys can call in and you guys can give me your thoughts and your opinions of everything, and then we can go along from there. There will be the same format during the course of the season, and what we will be doing in the course of the season will be this too. We will be breaking down everybody in the NFC East, not just the Cowboys. It will be the Eagles, the Deadskins, the Giants. We'll be looking at their film work so that we'll be on the same page when we play those teams, etc. So we're going to try to grow the nation in those parameters. This would not be possible if it was not for you guys tuning in to the show and just listen to me rumble for hours and hours and hours. I try to make quick shows, but it just don't go that way because you guys know I love you all, right? You guys know I love you. and I love the Cowboys. And I'm from Mississippi. Can you imagine trying to find other Cowboys fans in Mississippi? Man, it wasn't many. My brother from another mother, Vach, from the same hometown. Man, I'm about a decade. We out here. Ain't no party like the Cowboys party, because a cowboy party don't stop.